All right, and Kim, who I'm talking to, is our Project Wild coordinator in Georgia, and I've asked her to be a co-host, so she'll have some access to controls. And thank you again, Kim, for that. I kind of put her on the spot, and I know that Kim is not a expert in Zoom use, but nonetheless, she has agreed to help me, and I appreciate that. Okay, so for those of you just coming in, there is a tiny URL in blue lettering on the shared screen. I'm asking that you open that in a separate window. If you have a second screen, a great place to do that is on that second screen, or just open it in another window, such as through an internet browser, and you can bury it if you want behind your Zoom view, your view of the Zoom meeting. For now, we'll be coming back to that later. And Kim, there may be some people still showing up in the waiting room, so if you see that and you see a button that says admit them, you're welcome to do so, and I'll be watching that too. And Kim will be helping me monitor the chat. One of the things I struggle the most with Zoom is all of the windows, inevitably something will get buried and the controls get buried, and then I have to look for them. And that I find really challenging. So if anyone else sees something that pops up in the chats, especially questions, and you want to find a point to stop me and ask a question or point out that there's a question, unmute yourself and feel free to do so. Okay. So right now we're at 21 participants. We could have another 10, 15, maybe even 20 more joining. This session is being recorded, so be polite. We're going to be practicing the activity Dragonfly Pond that is redeveloped here for online use. We are going to be using Zoom, of course, to do that, and this presentation won't focus much on how to use Zoom, although we could spend all of the time doing that. There's a lot to it if you're new to it, so please practice, and I'll try to make I will try to make the important points as we go about what you need to keep in mind when you're using Zoom. One point that I finally learned recently was to have an intro slide available if you want people to do some setup when they log on. And so the tiny URL that I pasted in the chat earlier, if you just logged on, you might not see it, but I see that Amber has posted it again for everyone, so thank you, Amber, for that. So those of you who just logged on, you should be able to see it. It's tinyurl.com /a-wild-pond. And if you don't have time to do it now, we'll be coming back to this. All right, so now I'm going to share a different screen, or I'm going to share a different slide. And if someone can confirm to me that now you see the Google slide presentation master copy of Dragonfly Pond. Yes, okay, I see Beth thumbs up. Thank you, Beth. And I'm intentionally leaving this in the in this view, not the presenter view, but the show speaker notes view. I'm going to leave these speaker notes down here. Not only is it great for me to remember what I want to say, but my hope is that they help you use this presentation later. And you may want to adjust it for your own use. One thing you'll need to do before using this Google slide presentation is you will need to go to make a copy of it and save it under a different name. And if you haven't used Google Drive, now's the time to start. Okay, so I don't mean literally this moment, but after this session, open up a Gmail account, click on the icon Google Drive, find this presentation again, make a copy, save it in your Google Drive, okay? So if you have a Gmail account, you have access to this Google Drive. When I use my Google apps like Google Drive and Google Slides and Google Documents, I use a Gmail account, which is my projectwild.org account is actually a Gmail account in disguise. So on my shared screen, I'm going to navigate up to this share button on the upper right, and I'm hovering over it. Give me a thumbs up if you can see that I'm hovering over the share button. And sorry, I'm not seeing any thumbs up yet. Probably that's because I don't. Okay, there we go. Thank you. I see it, Joanne. Thank you very much. All right, and what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to share this, and I'm going to change where it says get a link. So right now, anyone on the internet with the URL, they can view this, right? I'm going to change it so not only can they view it, but now they can edit it. Now, this is going to make any of you able to change the content in the presentation we're all looking at. So please don't do that. If you do that, then we'll spend this presentation on a lesson on how to go back and find a previously saved copy and revert back to that. So that's not what we're trying to do. You will have a chance to edit this document. We will all be working on it, right? And yes, it may happen that one of us, including myself, might accidentally delete content we don't intend to, and there's ways to resolve that. Okay, so now everybody should have the ability to type into this shared document. If you're new to using Google apps like Google Slides, keep in mind that anything you do to this, it changes it for everybody, in real time. Okay, so here's the intro slide. And as this slide explains, as part of your setup, you will, not now, but later, you will make, and I will make this master copy available in a way that doesn't have all of our edits later on, right? So you'll have an opportunity to do this later, but you'll have a clean copy, okay? So you'll make a copy of it and you'll save it in your Google Drive, and then you will, when you do this with say you're a Project Wild facilitator or a teacher, whoever you're leading this activity for, you will use your own copy of it. And when your session starts, you will go to the share and you will turn on editing. Now, this brings up an important point with the use of these shared apps like Zoom. It puts a lot of trust among the audience, right? And this is a major concern for educators, especially those who, have a group of students that might intentionally try to sabotage it or be funny or post something that is naughty, So that's a concern. And Google Slides doesn't have a way, as far as I know, to prevent that. And that will be a barrier to some, especially I think formal educators. On the other hand, I think that it'll still be of value to those educators, and they will find other ways to do it. They might be working with smaller groups. It might be, having a backup plan for the lesson, and there might be enough interest among students not to let that happen as well. So, okay, so let's move on and talk about Dragonfly Pond as our model for land use decision-making in and around a wetland. So this decision-making model involves various environmental concerns and different perspectives of different groups of stakeholders. Okay, a stakeholder is any person who has something to gain or lose from a project. And so you are going to become one of those stakeholder and represent one of those groups of stakeholders. You're going to meet with other stakeholders of the same mindset later on. So let's use our chat box for a moment. Start typing, everyone, in the chat box, answering the question, Why do you think wetlands are important? So I'm going to give it about 20 seconds or so and let those answers roll in. Okay, so wetlands are habitat for wildlife, preserving flora and fauna that live there, great stopover for migratory species, ecosystem support, filters and provide habitat for much wildlife, especially birds. They filter, absorb water, pollutants, unique flora, a unique ecosystem, great habitat, nurseries for many species. Yes, fun to go fishing, right? So recreation, right? Okay, so wetlands, important for all these reasons. Great biodiversity in many wetlands. Let's talk about this photo. In the back you see, it's either an inlet or a bay or a lake. And in the foreground you see, well, you tell me what you see and why is this a concern? What's going on in this photo? And can you think of single words or short phrases that reflect your thoughts about this image? Go ahead and start typing in the chat. Does this image raise concerns about water quality? Okay, so I see pollution, bacteria, flooding, erosion, runoff, right? Oil, yes. Okay, so there's an oil sheen you can see in it there. Surface runoff. So runoff, what's wrong with runoff? Well, it can carry pollutants, right? Non-point source pollution or point source pollution. And also sediment into the water that can interfere with the life living in the water. So let's consider these questions as we proceed over the next 45 minutes. How do we regulate growth and conserve open spaces? And also, what practices can help us restore places in which the natural systems have been disturbed by human activity? Welcome to Dragonfly Pond, a site that has thus far been exposed or less exposed to human activity. Since the area was recently acquired by an expanding municipal district, it may soon provide for the needs of a growing population. You are about to work with colleagues or neighbors with whom you share interest in order to plan for future land use. And these are some of the types of special interest groups. Okay, now if we had more time, I would ask you to brainstorm what might be some of those interest groups. And you would come up with groups like these and others that we could add in and make this activity work with some of them that you think of yourself, right? Residents who desire to live in the area, farmers for raising food and livestock, conservationists who want to maintain the land as wildlife habitat, business interests who want to use the land for commerce and economic growth, gas station owners who make their living in servicing and repairing cars, parks and recreation department personnel, highway department personnel, they're interested in maintaining access, especially by cars, to the area, and factory representatives who are interested in protecting jobs and commerce. So you will be assigned to one of 8 breakout rooms. Each room represents one of these interest groups, and your group will plan for the future land use in the area near Dragonfly Pond. I have, before this meeting started, I started the meeting in Zoom controls. I opened up breakout rooms. I clicked 8 breakout rooms. I typed in the name of each of these breakout rooms. When you're doing this activity using Zoom, that's a step you'll want to take before you start letting people into the meeting, or whether they're in the meeting or not. You want to start the meeting, 15 minutes early, and this is one of the steps. Set up these breakout rooms. Okay, so you're going to be in your breakout room for a while, and in your breakout room, you're going to be using this very slide presentation, but your group is going to open up one of the slides or click on one of the slides that will look like this. There's 9 different slides in this presentation that look almost identical. The difference with each of these 9 slides is that at the upper left corner, they have a different label. This one is the demonstration map, but there's another one, as you can now see in the shared screen. This is the residence group map, right? There's another one that's the farmers group map. Your group is going to find wherever your slide is, and on your system, you're going to leave the shared screen view, that you're looking at now, but you're going to work directly off that open copy of this document. When I asked you to open up a new window, you're going to work directly on this. You're going to click on whatever map belongs to your group and work off of that. All right. Now, if you think you got that, give me a thumbs up, either with your emojicons or, right? And if you're not quite sure, give me a thumb sideways. And if you just don't know, give me a thumbs down. It's like, this is new. I need more time to digest this. All right. And if you don't want to commit to any of those, just stare at me. I understand. Okay, so my hope is that there's someone in each group who is familiar enough that gets that, but I know it's an obstacle. Okay, we're going back to the demonstration map. Give me a thumbs up if you can see on the shared screen the demonstration map. Okay, I see a few thumbs up here. All right. So with the demonstration map, I can click and drag any of these icons on the right. These are land use icons. So, I need to decide where I'm going to put each of these. Where am I going to put a grocery store? Somewhere near Dragonfly Pond, maybe. Maybe I'll put it over here. Another question is, where am I going to put my highways? Well, it seems like, we're going to want a highway coming somewhere near a grocery store, and I can click on that, and I can make a copy, and I can paste it. Oh, that didn't work. I pasted the wrong thing. I have to capture the whole thing, so I'm going to do Control-C and then Control-V. Oh, there we go. Right, and I can add on to my highway. Right now, with a group of students who are learning how to use this is part of the fun, right? But if you're trying to do all this in an hour within one session with any group, it can be a little bit maddening. But I think for a group of young students, multiple sessions this would work well, right? You might need a session on just practicing the Zoom controls. Okay, where am I going to put the park? Well, I might put the park over here. Now, notice I have some arrows on my Dragonfly Pond. I had the great suggestion from Jen Dennison, our Project Wild coordinator in Ohio. Whenever she does this activity, she has participants decide which way the water is flowing, because that often affects their land use planning decisions. And in the written activity, that's a procedure later on. You can introduce that idea, and how does that change things? For this purpose, I'm going to tell you which way the water is flowing. In this case, it's flowing north to south. So let's assume on all of these land use planning maps that you'll be working on, we'll all be working on the same version of the map, or different versions of the same map. The water will always flow the same way from north to south. Okay. Where am I going to put my factory? Well, I'm trying to capture the factory. There we go. Maybe over here. And maybe I'll reorient it a bit. Okay. So after you figure out where you want to put things, or during that process, you're also going to have the opportunity for your group to fill out the pros and cons of each of these land use decision-making items. Okay, so ideally, you would spend 15 minutes, 20 minutes at least, going through some of these pros and cons. If your group can spend a minute or two on this, I would appreciate it, but I want you to spend more time trying to manipulate the map. Okay, and I'm going to do a bit for us, and you can help me using the chat box. What's a pro of having a grocery in the vicinity of this development, the land that happens to be near Dragonfly Pond? What's a pro? And I'm looking in my chat box. Less traffic. Okay, so yes, compared to other kinds of businesses or development, maybe a grocery store could be less traffic. Depends on what kind of grocery store it is, but food, that's a great advantage. One of my favorite benefits of anything is food. So yes, so this allows for people to be there, right? Brings people to the area. That can be a good thing. It could allow people to live there, right? Okay, what's so the obvious, food, right? Allows access for people, jobs, right? If it's a small grocery store, it could be less traffic. That was the first one. Maybe. All right. What's a con? What's the disadvantage of having a grocery store near Dragonfly Pond or the wetlands near Dragonfly Pond? Takes away habitat, brings people in, pollution. Okay, so yeah. Interestingly, people is both a pro and a con, right? It's not always black and white, is it? Like what may be an advantage in one sense could be a disadvantage in another. All right, litter, right? People leaving litter, sure. Okay, so you get the idea. So your group will have not only, I'm looking at my shared screen again, right? Not only a demonstration map, but you will have an accompanying demonstration, you'll have an accompanying land use decision-making table where you can record pros and cons. And you know, if you had time to go through all the pros and cons before you worked on the map, that's the best case scenario. We're crunched on time, so why don't you spend a minute or two working on the table? Okay, here are the rules for the breakout room. Try to designate a timekeeper, you know, and if 60 seconds go by and you don't have a timekeeper, just start manipulating the map. Don't spend too much time on it. If no one really wants to be the timekeeper, don't worry about it. That was actually an obstacle last time. Okay, last time I did this activity. Second, open a browser window if you haven't already done so. Most of you have. Open a browser window on your screen, so everybody will be doing this, and open the Google Doc that I posted earlier, right? And I think I can just, let's see if I can capture that URL again. All I have to do is go up to the top here, copy the URL, and I'm going to paste it into this shared document. There it is. So if you have this document open, you already have it. You don't need it. And if you don't already have it open, you can't access it from the shared screen because it's only a shared screen. So not only am I pasting it there, I'm also pasting it once again in the chat. This very long URL is the very same one as that tiny URL I posted earlier. I made a tiny URL that's an abbreviated version of this using tinyurl.com. Super easy to do, I recommend it. You can use either one to get there, okay? And if you've never done this and don't know what a tiny URL is, I apologize. It's probably sounding like I'm speaking in code, but it's a useful tool for sharing URLs that I recently learned about. Number 3, scroll down to find the 2 slides for your interest group. That is the map and the table. Make sure you look at the label at the top, right? So going back a slide, in this case, it's a demonstration table, but for another group, here I'm looking now, you see the reddish band at the top, it's the residence group. Each group has a different color too, so that should help you find, as you're scrolling through your slides, which 2 slides you need. And you'll know that because the group that you're assigned to will tell you what your interest group is, and you will be automatically assigned. Okay, Number 4, 10 minutes for working on the map. We're going to change that. Let's see, it's 3:28. We have about 30 minutes, so we're going to spend 20 minutes altogether. We're going to make this 15 minutes for working on the map. We're going to make, let's make it 17 and 13, right? No, that's, I'm sorry, that's too much. We want 3. Okay, big difference. All right. And work on the map, work on the table first, actually. Get that done and then go to the map, okay? Type in a few pros and cons. All right. Okay, before we start breakout groups, this is your opportunity to unmute yourself and ask questions, ask for clarification, or type it in. And thank you, Kim, for putting the rules in the chat. Designate a timekeeper, open the Google slide, find your group, spend 17 minutes creating a map and 3 minutes on filling in the table. Or first fill in the table for 3 minutes and then go to the map, right? Okay. Now, Kim and I will be circulating around the breakout rooms. I am going to try to set the timer for that will automatically come on when you have 2 minutes left. I was supposed to do that earlier and I failed. So that may or may not come up. If it doesn't, Kim and I will be automatically closing the breakout rooms at 3:49. Okay, at 3:49, I'm going to close them down somewhere between 3:49 and 3:50. And my clock right now says exactly 3:30, so you might want to compare that to your clock.
And everybody who's on Eastern Standard Time, that's 4:49.
Yes, yes, I'm on Central. Thank you. A constant source of confusion and trouble. Okay, so now here I go. I'm going to share my view for the sake of maybe a teachable moment for those of you who are new to Zoom. And I hope I get this right. I want you to see my main control screen. Okay, so here I am. You know, this is my background image in front. It looks like a strange wetland from the future. On the right, I have the chat. On the left, I have my all the participants. And down here, I have, I'm going to go to more, right? And then I'm going to go to, I'm looking for my breakout rooms. There it is.
Hey, Mark, we
yes.
can't see any of that.
Ah, okay. So much for the teachable moment. Well, there's a learning moment for me. Well, I'm clicking on breakout rooms and okay. And so I'm opening all rooms. Okay, now you should be seeing something pop up on your screens that allows you to join your breakout room. Go ahead and click on it. And I should see people disappearing from the main room here.
Not seeing any of that.
No?
Nope.
Okay, that's Laura who said that?
I think you need to put us back on the other screen.
Okay.
Because I'm staring at your desktop.
Okay. Let's try that. I think I might need to do something else, but in addition to that. So I'm going to close the rooms and try again. I think I might need to do some assigning. And I thought I had the meeting set to randomly assign. I don't know what happened with that. Breakout rooms. Okay.
Also, we're supposed to be able to share with you when we click on the share screen. Is that supposed to tell us we can share with you? Because mine says the host is blocking me.
That means I have the control set that you cannot share unless I give you permission. Okay, so there's a way I could change that, but that's how it's set now. Okay. Well, it did not automatically assign you despite having, maybe I didn't hit the save button when I said automatically assign people, so I'm going to go through and assign you to a room. Okay, Beth, you're going to conservationist. Brittany, you're going to business interest. Catherine Quigley, you're going to gas station owner. Chelsea, Parks and Rec Department. Heather, factory rep. Jessica, resident. Joanne, farmer. Kim, you're gonna go to all the rooms, right? Kim, I may need to still make you a co-host. I'll do that in a moment. Laura, I'm going to put you in conservationist. Layla, business interest. Linda, gas station owner. Margaret, Parks and Rec. Pam, highway department. Rhonda, factory rep. Sarah, resident. Okay.
You still got a couple there, Mark.
Okay.
Hang on, let's see if they go. Pam, and Nancy didn't seem to go to a room yet.
Okay. I'm looking for your names here. And I don't know why I can't find them.
They just went. They just
Okay.
went.
Okay. And Kim, I'm going to put you as make a co-host. So now you should be able to pop in and out of rooms. At 3:45, we can pop around and say, hey folks, you have about 3 minutes left. Okay, that's in about 11 minutes
Okay.
from now. All right. Okay, thanks.
I don't know if you've made me co-host.
Oh.
Up there,
Okay.
I can't see a room. Not yet.
Okay, I'm going to assign you to. Oh, you know what? You don't. That's right. You don't have the privilege of joining any room. I still have to figure that out. So I'm going to put you. Let's see. Most of the rooms have 2 people, except the highway department. I'm going to put you with. It says Pam Svensson has not joined yet.
I'm not. I went to join breakout room and it brought me to a screen.
Yeah.
At the beginning.
Okay. Does it? It says I need to assign you. So I'm going to try highway department, and if no one's there, come back to the main room. Okay.
Okay.
You want me to go to highway department too, Mark?
Yeah. If you have that option.
Yep, I can. So Leah, I'll meet you there.
Okay. And Layla, do you need to be assigned to a room? I think I saw you say no.
Yeah, you assigned me one, but then when I went in, I lost. I was by myself, and then I couldn't hear anything else.
Okay, and I see it looks like Brittany Fisher was also assigned there, but she didn't make it there. So I'm going to put you in a different room. I'm going to put you in Parks and Rec, and there's only one other person there right now. Okay. Okay. Do you see that option to go there?
I haven't gotten the invite yet.
That's odd. I don't know why you didn't get the invite.
I know, because I got the first one.
So do you see any kind of button that says join breakout room or anything about breakout rooms?
Oh, there, breakout rooms. Oh, there we go. Okay.
Okay. And if there's anybody else in the main room that can hear me, you can turn off your mic and talk to me. Okay, breakout rooms have just closed and people are popping back in. All right, welcome back everyone. So one of the problems that several groups encountered was that the URL that I had given previously, it did not allow you, it still was in the view only mode. And one solution to that was, we found two. One of them was I reposted in some of the group's chat boxes, a URL that allowed you to access it. A more simple solution was, and thank you Rhonda for pointing this out, was to simply refresh your browser. You know, you may have experienced this before when you go to a website and you have a document or a file open, and then you come back to that file or you don't refresh, it can be on a previous version. And so by refreshing, that's something now I know to tell people the next time I do this. When you get to your breakout room, if your map isn't editable, refresh your window where you have that Google slide presentation open. Okay. So let's talk about our results. We have about 7.5 minutes left in this presentation or in this session, and I'm going to reshare my screen. And although we all see the same Google slide presentation on our separate screens, I'm going to try to redirect our attention back to my screen. All right. So you're still looking at the Google slide presentation, but my hope is now that you're looking at the Zoom window that has the shared screen, so we can all be looking at the same thing. And I'm going to scroll down and look at, you know, like, okay, here's the residence group. Let's look at what the residence group did, and then we'll compare that to another group. And I'm going to resize this. Oops. Well, I need to practice how to make this bigger. My hope is it's big enough for you to see on the shared screen. But I see that in the, you know, the residence group, you have, would someone in the residence group like to take about 30 seconds and explain what you did? If you do, just turn your microphone off and jump in.
Yeah, I can kind of jump in and talk about it. So we wanted to put the park and all the houses all kind of located together near the pond because beautiful, and who doesn't want to live by a park and a pond? And then we wanted to make it very convenient for everyone and kind of have all of the groceries and restaurants kind of in one kind of centralized area that was close to the highway, so people coming through could definitely access that without kind of coming into the community area of the park.
Okay, well, thank you. Well, this is interesting. Let's look at the farmers group. Okay, farm cornfields around the wetlands. All right, there'll be many opportunities there to talk about the reasoning of why that could be helpful. And good work on filling out your table. And here's the conservationist group. Okay, so we have houses close to the lake and a park close to the wetland. And here's the factory over here on the other side of the highway, and then a cluster of development over here. Now, you know, you can imagine all the conversation that this would allow, and students research on each of these decisions if time allows for them to look into why they did this or how other people go about making these decisions. This is the gas station group. Okay. All right. And the Parks and Rec group, lots of parkland. I love it. The highway department group, we didn't have anyone in there. The factory representatives. Okay. Well, I didn't mention this earlier, but you can't allow students to have more than one factory or any of these. They can duplicate it, but the ground rule is you're supposed to use each of the icons at least once. Okay, so yeah, there's a factory close to the lake. All right, Now, in our next hour, which we do not have, but if we did, I would show you this extended map, right? A smaller scale map and a smaller scale map showing a larger area. This Dragonfly pond is part of a larger connected stream that eventually feeds into a gulf. And how does our Dragonfly pond development decisions affect other Dragonfly ponds? How does it affect Laughing Gull Lake or Sea Oats Estuary, right? So that's where we take that. Now, before we go, I'm going back here, and here's your homework challenge. Homework because it's optional. And I need to make a quick edit because the prize thing didn't work out for this session. So, okay. Your challenge is within the next week, actually within the, within the next 4 days, is to send me a photo. Okay, send me a photo. You take it in your neighborhood. It shows, your photo would show development, buildings, roads, infrastructure, landscaping. Okay, human activity that affected the land, that was intentional human activity. And also, yeah, your photo could show your face. That would be helpful. I'll tell you why in a moment. And if your photo could also somehow demonstrate responsible recreation and safe learning, I'll tell you what responsible recreation is in a moment. But in this photo, this person, they're not standing next to or in close proximity of people they don't live with, or anybody for that matter. It shows development, and it's outdoors, right? It's I should have said that. Take it in your neighborhood outdoors. And with your photo, when you send it to me, include in your email a sentence or two about how you think the developments might affect water quality and wildlife. Okay, so the development in this photo that we're looking at, it's a pretty big urban landscape in the background, and there's all sorts of ways I can imagine that would affect wildlife, right? For some species, it would reduce their habitat. For others, it would increase their habitat, right? I could name a few particular species. Runoff from, among other things, automobiles, right? Oil from non-point source pollution in the water, sediment from construction sites. It might make less oxygen available in the water for some species to survive, or make the water too murky. Okay, so once you come up with a sentence or two about how you think the development might affect water quality and wildlife, send your message to me, and I would love to use it with your permission, and I'll check if you do send me a photo, as an example for future students and for other educators that we're trying to let them know about these wild learning labs. We'd love to use it as an example of how you can combine prompting people to go outside with online learning. Okay, what is responsible recreation and safe learning? It involves planning ahead. So if you're going to a park, make sure you have your passes or licenses. Stay close to home. Keep in mind best practices for avoiding COVID. Follow state and federal guidelines, especially for park areas. Pack out your trash and share your adventures in a respectful way on social media. And if you'd like to learn more, look up #ResponsibleRecreation. All right, I would love your comments. I'll be on for another 5 or 10 minutes. You're welcome to join us there. If you have to go, that's fine too. And if you'd like to email me comments, it's all helpful. Part of the Learning Lab is for professional development, and part of it is to continue to refine how we do this and learn how to present this. Thank you all for participating, and I hope to see you on a future Wild Learning Lab.
Hey, Mark, we had one question
Yes.
about your email address. Has it changed?
No, my email address has not changed in the last 3 years. And it's M and then my last name, L-E-F as in Frank, E-B like boy, R-E at fishwildlife.org. If you saw an email from Mark, M-A-R-C-L at projectwild.org, that would work too. And I'm going to post that in the chat in case anyone wants to copy and paste it.
Is the spelling on that correct? Because it doesn't look like it from what you just said.
I think so, but I'll double check in a
It says
sec.
wildlife.
Ooh, that's a problem. Yes, it does. Okay. Thank you.
No problem.
I don't have a very good eye for that kind of detail. I tend to see things that are moving and big general pictures.
Mark, I had a question. I know you guys did another Project Wild about a pond or something, and it said that link would be available at some time. Is there a place where they're putting these lessons?
Yes. We have, so there's, if you go to, in fact, I could navigate there now. And fishwildlife.org. If you did a Google search on projectwild.org remote learning, you would find it that way too. Let's try that. Projectwild.org remote learning. Okay, and then Wild About Remote Learning. Okay, so my hope is you see the Association of Fish and Wildlife websites, thumbs up if you do. Okay, so it's a lot of text for a website, but the first link there is a Wild Learning Lab. So you can click there, and this is one way to find it. I'm going to post here on this document that I will continue to revise the resources. And so Dragonfly Pond later today, where it says Dragonfly Pond Google Slides, you'll be able to click there and have a blank Dragonfly Pond map in view only mode that you can then copy, make your own copy, and eventually change the sharing permissions to, to edit for anyone who has the URL. I hope that answers the question. And I'm going to back up a bit and point out while we're at it, this Wild About Remote Learning has other resources too. Another place is the second link here, and this is a big spreadsheet that we're developing that has Dragonfly Pond. It gives ideas on how to make implementation of Project Wild or Aquatic Wild activities safe, either through remote learning, distance learning, online learning, or ideas also for if you're doing it in person and you're trying to follow best practices for COVID-19. And I have put in here a link to that, the link to the slide presentation will be here as well. So my best advice is remember projectwild.org remote learning.